You're watching Parker Success Academy Clinical Rounds with Dr. William E. Morgan.
Hello, I'm Dr. William E. Morgan, president of Parker University, and this is Clinical Rounds, where we explore topics of clinical relevance to the clinician. Today I have a very special guest, Dr. Kyl Smith. Dr. Kyl Smith, thank you for joining us.
I am so honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
So we just heard you speak at NeuroCon. It was a great 2-hour presentation, and I learned so much. I was taking pictures. I was actually ordering supplements on my phone while I was taking it. But we'd like to explore a little bit about that, because you spoke about the anxiety paradox,
Yes.
and you're writing a book on that very topic right now.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm fascinated about this. Anxiety has affected my family. Mm-hmm. It's affected practice, and I see this emerging group of people that are suffering with anxiety post-COVID. They now say 4 in 10 people suffer with anxiety, so it's something that clinicians need to be aware of. And the good news is there's a lot we can do in practice to help quell that and bring peace to our patients. And the thing that I talked about today is the fact is anxiety, depression, sleep disorders are all tied into chronic pain.
And we talked, there's certain things that we've known for years: exercise, mm-hmm. enough sleep, mm-hmm. Reducing stress, engaging our minds on a regular basis, and having a proper nutritional balance to our life. But you had 2 additions you really drove home today. What were those?
Well, exactly like you said, there's actually a lot of power in diet, in exercise, and nutrition. And the beautiful thing is that should be a part of every doctor's toolkit, mm-hmm. because there's so much that can be done. The reality is there are 2 emerging ingredients that I'm fascinated with. One of them is called acetyl l-carnitine, and the other one's phosphatidylserine. They both work together really well. They accomplish different things. Phosphatidylserine can literally mute anxiety, and it can also mute hypercortisolemia, which means the stress response people are going through. If they're chronically stressed, phosphatidylserine might actually be the key to help resolve the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis and support a healthy stress response, so to speak. And then,
it seemed like it also increased testosterone levels, you said.
And that's the interesting thing. Men lose testosterone as they age to cortisol. If a male is chronically stressed, the production of testosterone is literally turned off. So targeting stress and cortisol specifically, by bringing this down within the normal range, you can actually boost testosterone. I've seen this in practice. There's double-blind, placebo-controlled trials that prove that this is true. So it's something that doctors, I think, should utilize in practice. Mm-hmm. This tool should be in their toolbox. In addition, acetyl L-carnitine, it's probably the preeminent cerebral, if you will, or brain mitochondrial protector. And science is now showing, especially good Italian science, that as we age, our blood levels drop of this ingredient. So it might be really important to supplement with as we grow older to preserve cognitive function. Well,
you talked about Leydig cells and also mitochondria, how they really decrease as we age.
Yes.
And they don't naturally just come back.
No.
So if somebody was, let's say, in their mid-60s and they started taking these supplements, could you have increased testosterone production and increased mitochondrial production?
Absolutely. The answer is true. It's both in science. It's well substantiated in published science. But in clinical practice, I've seen phosphatidylserine alone, depending on where a male starts on the normal testosterone scale, mm-hmm. double, triple, or quadruple testosterone in 14 to 28 days. So there can be a massive restoration of testosterone, and the beautiful part is phosphatidylserine is targeting stress, not testosterone. Again, by bringing cortisol down, we raise testosterone because according to science, they're inversely proportional. If cortisol is high, which means mm-hmm. if a man's chronically stressed, if cortisol is mm-hmm. high, then testosterone's low.
So you had an interesting graph there from one of the research studies showed that it was actually like 3 or 4 times the amount of testosterone increase as mm-hmm. the placebo group. Now, the placebo group also exercised. They took the supplement and they all exercised. So the placebo group still got the benefit of the exercise somewhat, but the group that took this supplement really got the benefit.
Yeah.
It was pretty amazing. You also talked a little bit about hierarchies of primates, and I've always wondered why if you see the silverback, it looks substantially huge compared to all the other male gorillas. Yeah. And why is that?
Well, the interesting thing is one of my favorite researchers, Robert Sapolsky from Stanford University, he has well substantiated, not just in baboons, but in humans, this hierarchy makes a big difference in how we perceive whether or not we're stressed or not. And what he shows in his research is, to the degree an individual feels like they're in control of their life, in this case the silverback feels like he's totally in control, right? So to the degree we feel or perceive like we're in control in our life, we actually have a much lower level of chronic stress or cortisol. To the degree the individual feels like they're out of control, and there's a lot of people in the world today that feel that way, right? They feel that way about politics, they feel that way about the economy. The bottom line is, if they're perceiving that they're out of control, then cortisol is much higher. So the beautiful part is his research showed that a lot of this stress comes down to our perception, whether or not we feel like we're in control of our lives or whether or not we feel like we're out of control.
So we have these two supplements. We have, basically behavior that we do, but the supplements sound like they actually help the behavior. If you've got more testosterone, you're more likely to exercise. If you exercise, you're more likely to have more testosterone. So it's like it's positive feedback cycle or feed forward cycle.
Right.
So we have perceptions of where you are in life. Which also would be affected by the L-carnitine, is what you recommended?
Acetyl L-carnitine.
Acetyl L-carnitine.
Yes.
That can help your perceptions as well? It reduces depression, you said.
There's emerging science, and when I say emerging, it's at the point today in 2022 where in Italy they find this definitive, and that is individuals that have low blood levels of L-carnitine, acetyl L-carnitine, they suffer with depression. And they're giving acetyl L-carnitine in clinically meaningful amounts to remediate the depression. And the research has evolved from the 1990s all the way up to today, 2022. It's really impressive. I encourage any and every clinician that's interested in helping people with mood disorders or depression in a natural way to take a look at acetyl L-carnitine. The research is such that all you have to do is go to Google Scholar and do a search on acetyl L-carnitine depression, and you'll pull up the relevant science. And it's really amazing to take a look at. This ingredient can be transformative. It's not the only answer, but currently it's very promising with regards to the benefits it can bring to individuals.
And it's over time. We've had 32 years of randomized control studies, double-blinded. This is as high-end in science as we get.
It is. And what's amazing is in Italy, most of the research you'll notice if you're a clinician and you look up the research, it's done by Italians, and the reason being is their medical model means they look at nutrients like acetyl L-carnitine as a first line of defense for patients who have cognitive decline and or depression now. So the reality is there's a good body of double-blind placebo-controlled trials, like you just said, that substantiate the benefits of the ingredient.
I love it. So, and I've, when I lived in Washington, D.C., I've been to the Italian embassy where they would have the researchers come over from Italy. And the Italian researchers are like the eminent researchers in the world on placebo. Right. All the great studies on placebo effect come from them. So they're really good about eliminating the bias that placebo can produce. So it's pretty amazing. And also, as you said, the way their government is, they want the natural, the cheaper, the better solution, as opposed to our way of having healthcare delivered.
Right, exactly. They go for natural to the degree that they can, and it's substantiated in science. They go for natural with the lowest risk profile first before they modulate to the other potential pharmaceuticals that are in their tool bag.
Well, your talk was great. You've got a new book out. You've got a couple other books out too, though. What are your other books?
I wrote a book called Brighter Mind, and my fascination has always been how to enhance brain function. And I have to say, that's because when I was in college, I didn't feel like mine was so good. And when I was in Parker College of Chiropractic, I had an amazing nutrition teacher that turned me on to the fact that diet and nutrition could remediate, he said, back in the early 1990s, attention deficit disorder. I did that diet and nutrition program, and I thought, okay, this is what I want to do with the rest of my life. So I wrote a book called Brighter Mind, and then I wrote a book called The Testosterone Switch, which talks about ingredients like phosphatidylserine's ability to restore healthy testosterone and otherwise healthy men.
And I've got both those books, and they're fantastic.
Thank you.
So, but also exercise, high intensity interval exercise or weightlifting also. I think you lift weights as well.
I work out every day.
Yeah, as I do too. It's a healthy chiropractic lifestyle that we want to pursue. You just mentioned neurology, nutrition, and we have master's degree programs here. I don't know if you knew that on
I didn't know
functional nutrition and also on clinical neurology. We have actually 5 or 6 master's degrees, and a lot of our students get scholarship that way as they go through our program. So
that is phenomenal.
Yes. Yeah. So if they keep their grades up and their patient care up that last year, they can pursue a master's degree in that. So they're really good programs too. So are there any parting bits of advice you'd give our clinicians?
Parting advice for clinicians. I would look at the benefits of acetyl L-carnitine and how you can enhance patient outcomes with that wonderful ingredient. Look at phosphatidylserine and how that ingredient can enhance patient outcomes. And if I may totally divert off this subject, since this might be the close, I have to say to you, I am so incredibly impressed with this college, the university, Parker Seminars, the direction it's headed. I mean, we had a great seminar just today. Parker Seminars is back. I mean, the things that you and your team have done, I mean, phenomenal. Thank you so much for your dedication, clear dedication to our profession, to this college, and to the seminar platform. I appreciate you.
Well, you're very kind. Now, would you feel comfortable leaving your contact information?
Sure. Doctors that want to learn anything about how to implement these nutrients into practice or utilize these products or ingredients to help enhance patients' lives, you can contact me at Kyl Smith at mac.com. And that's Kyl with no E, KYLSMITH at mac.com.
Well, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you again. Thank you.
You've been listening to Dr. Kyl Smith, and this is Clinical Rounds.
Thanks for watching another episode of Parker Success Academy Clinical Rounds with Dr. William E. Morgan.